Alright, welcome back to Uncle Ben's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making one of my favorites, biscuits and gravy. This is good for breakfast. If I have biscuits and gravy for breakfast, I'll just fry a couple eggs, throw it on top. It's good for lunch, it's good for dinner. It's good for the late night run at IHOP. I mean, biscuit and gravy is always good. Alright, let's get started. Alright, we're going to start off with 2 cups of flour. We're going to do a tablespoon of baking powder. I'm going to do about a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. One quick note, if you're using baking soda in a recipe and not baking powder, you're going to need to use buttermilk or add lemon juice or vinegar because the buttermilk is acidic, which makes the baking soda activate. If you don't have that, it's not going to work. We're doing both, but we are going to use buttermilk anyway, so. We need 2 tablespoons of sugar. We need a teaspoon of salt. Then you are going to whisk your dry ingredients together. This next step, you're going to want real cold butter. I put my butter in the freezer for a little bit after I cubed it up, and then I'm just going to mix it with my hands. I've got about 8 tablespoons of cold butter that I put in the freezer. I'm going to put it into my dry ingredients and mix it in with my hands. Alright, so we got the butter mixed in, little pieces, very cold. Then I got about 3/4 cup of buttermilk and maybe a 1/4 cup of regular milk. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix that together until a dough forms. You really don't want to overwork this, but you don't want there to be like a lot of flour in there either. And if it's not wet enough, you're going to have to grab some milk. So I switched utensils to the wooden spoon. Just going to mix it around until the dough forms. And add another splash of milk. Just until that dough forms all the way. Now that's looking good. It's looking like the dough is forming. Okay, so when it's pulling all the way from the side, this is when you're going to put it down onto a floured surface, your work surface. Booyakasha. Get some flour on my hands. And I'm going to knead the dough. Get those good layers in there. And I can still see my chunks of butter in there. Now that I got my dough kind of where I want it, I'll flour up my pin and I'm going to roll it out. And I want it to be probably 3/4 inch thick. Now we're going to cut out these biscuits. Don't twist. Just go straight down. I'm going to do just a touch of spray. Good. Pop these on here. Alright, we're going to want these biscuits to double in size at least. It's going to go into a 425-degree oven for about 12 minutes. I'm going to check on it. Alright, the biscuits are in the oven. They look amazing. They're starting to fatten up. Alright, right here I got loose sausage. I'm using just some loose sage sausage I actually got from the Pennsylvania Dutch Amish market. I'm just going to cook it up real quick and I'll show you that. Now if you don't have the access to the good loose sausage like this, you just use Bob Evans or Jimmy Dean or whatever you find at the grocery store, it's fine. Also, keeping a couple of frozen Bob Evans sausages in the freezer, you can always whip this up at any time. You find you gotta feed a lot of people and all you got is some basic baking cupboard and a freezer full of sausage, and you make this and people are gonna tell you it's the best they've ever had, because it is. Got the sausage cooking up, but man, these biscuits are rising like crazy. Holy moly. Alright, we got the sausage cooking, but these biscuits, the timer just went off. Oh my god, they look perfect. I'm just going to give them about 1 more minute. Don't open the oven, by the way. You lose like 50-60% of your heat when you do that. Sausage cooking away. Turned it down to low heat. Biscuits are done to perfection. Yeah, these things rose. Look how flaky. I didn't even touch it yet. I can tell how flaky this thing is. You put gravy on this thing, I'm telling you, people are going to say that you're the best cook in the world. This is Southern biscuits and gravy like you've never tried. Alright, biscuits are done. Sausage pretty much done. Now, secret ingredient time. This is what's going to take it up. Just this. It's on this notch. It's going to be this notch up here. I made bacon this morning for my son. I kept the bacon grease. We're going to make a roux out of the sausage grease and the bacon grease. Don't ever pour your bacon grease down the sink, first of all, because any animal fat is going to solidify at room temperature. It's going to clog up your pipes. So you're supposed to keep it in a jar, but if you make bacon, I mean, there's tons of things to do with grease. You don't have to waste it. My grandma used to tell me that during the Great Depression they eat grease sandwiches. Alright, we're going to start making this gravy. So I put that bacon grease in there. Now I'm going to form a roux with some flour. And you want it to be a little bit dry, almost like a wet sand look with your sausage. You don't want it to be too wet. And also you definitely want to cook that flour out of there. You can't just add the milk at this point. You got to cook this flour for a little bit with the grease. Just turn it, get the grease all up in that flour. I'm going to go 1 more big spoonful. And I think this was about a pound of loose sausage. So you got a pound of sausage. I cooked half a pound of bacon. That's I'm going to use about right there. That's the 3rd spoonful of flour. And I think that's just about perfect. I'm going to mix this all around, cook that flour out. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Also a little bit of black peppercorn. And then I just poured in about a cup, maybe a cup and a quarter of milk. I'm going to cook this through. The roux is going to thicken it up nicely. Taste it, salt and pepper. I'm pretty much done. It might not look thick enough while you're stirring it, but once that roux gets in there, cooks for a couple minutes, and then you let it cool, it's going to thicken up nicely. Alright. Alright, starting to thicken up real nice. I think we're about ready. I'm going to take it off the heat. Like I said, taste, salt, pepper. You are good to go. Alright, got a biscuit. Oh man, is it ever flaky. Look at that. Biscuits and gravy.
Oh, so close. There you go, son.
Oh my god. The biscuit is so flaky. The gravy's perfect. Perfectly seasoned. Sausage, amazing. Never been frozen. This, Southern Biscuits gravy.